Welcome to the nomnom.com podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how to eat brains and boost profits. In other words, classrooms as the AI frontier. Let's get into it. Data and attention are some of the world's most valuable commodities, and large language models are some of the most efficient extraction tools ever developed. This isn't a metaphor, it's a business model. Tech companies have spent decades optimizing the attention flywheel, spending billions on engineering ways to extract every bit of information possible from users, then spending billions more on turning that data into dopamine traps that grab and hold attention, leading to even more information, which they then use to make and refine their attention getting. Today's leading AI companies are just the next set of prospectors in this cognitive gold rush, and their new frontier is classrooms. Just 2 years after banning chatbots, the Miami-Dade County District in Florida, with more than 105,000 high school students, is now going all in on AI. They've integrated a fleet of Google Gemini chatbots to help students with writing, problem solving, and test prep. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, a World Bank-supported pilot program gave students access to an LLM tutor for 6 weeks, and the reported learning gains were equivalent to 2 years of traditional instruction, with girls who had until then been lagging behind, advancing the most. While these are just 2 discrete cases, they're previews of how the companies who own the biggest LLMs are working their ways into classrooms, starting apparently right now. I use LLMs all the time. I've made musicals about strategic lawsuits against public participation, collaborated with ChatGPT on hundreds of poems, and even made a hairless podcasting cat who sounds like late Bob Dylan. Just this Saturday, I had the realization that my son was using ChatGPT to discover new Balatro strategies. My daughters were using Gemini for songwriting prompts, and I was working on a press release generator out in the garage. So, I really like large language models. I'm astonished every day at both their utility and their innovation. And yet, the headlines about big tech's plans for public schools and Trump's executive order on advancing AI education for America's youth have pushed me to think more carefully about the costs and benefits of AI integration in schools. Should we really let the unrestrained interests of private companies have even more influence over public education under the Trump administration? After all, these tools aren't just helping students learn. They're collecting data, shaping behavior, and optimizing for engagement, aka dependency. You don't even have to look as far as Myanmar to see how the makers of these tools don't have a great track record for collective uplift. But you should look as far as Myanmar anyway, because it's horrifying. Closer to home, during the pandemic, we saw the private big tech savior story play out in public education. And what happened? Students spent more time on screens than ever before. Learning gaps widened, and class engagement dropped off a cliff. Oh, and big tech made billions of dollars, because they weren't just giving helpful tools to kids in need, they were embedding systems of extraction. As Jessica Gross recently wrote in the New York Times, the pandemic should have been a teachable moment for all of us, that education is not just about delivering information, but about building relationships, maintaining structure, and being present. Brookings Institute fellow Rebecca Winthrop has also argued that AI will probably help with rote tasks, like math drills or grammar correction. In the same way, spell check raises the floor for coherence. But AI shouldn't replace education's more human and arguably more important elements, like socialization, empathy, and resilience in the face of failure. Alas, parents, administrators, teachers, and students were and are so desperate for any relief from budget shortfalls and time crunches. It's not surprising there's always some big tech-induced magical thinking at play. But any parent who has been forced to sign up for dozens of platforms just to figure out when assignments might be due, or why the bus hasn't shown up on time, can imagine full AI integration being an implementation disaster. For all the promise of AI as an educational utility, we need some way to ensure a minimum of accountability for companies that want to get involved with public education. AI is already in classrooms, whether we admit it or not. The real danger going forward isn't that it won't actually work. It's that it will work more for private interests than for the public good. I've seen how difficult it is for students to learn when they're constantly being pulled toward dopamine-optimized digital distractions in my kids' school district. Unrestrained AI integration with schools will only make this worse. Cut to spring semester 2027, when rising fourth grader Maverick Cash DeForester is so addicted to chatting with his fully bespoke Spanish tutor bot, made in partnership between Duolingo and Grok, that he can't unstrap his meta goggles and get out of bed. These tools are already engineered to win attention battles that teachers never agreed to fight, and that they're destined to lose. Expecting K-12 teachers to compete with these cognitive mercenaries unaided will be like asking them to teach social studies through a network of Nintendo Switch 2s while our looks-maxing influencers hand out free Takis. Real-time web research shows LLMs are not only siphoning traffic from search engines, but also from Wikipedia, which says the shift to LLMs isn't just a fad. So fully banning AI isn't the answer, either, since that would only widen the digital divide. Students with AI access at home would learn to use it, while those without would fall further behind. We're clearly undergoing a fundamental shift in how people use the internet and how the internet uses people. Though, say, maybe the shift in interaction between system and human might not be all new after all. In her new book, Empire of AI, Karen Howe draws a compelling parallel between the logic of today's AI companies and the logic of colonial empires. Colonial powers once claimed land, labor, and culture under the banner of civilizing the world. Today, AI companies extract data, underpay human workers, and claim ownership of online content, all while promoting a narrative of innovation and uplift. While the current number goes up market caps of Microsoft, Google, and Apple are proof enough that this model of exploitation still works just fine for the tech companies, it still seems marginal at best for the rest of us. Now what? If schools don't teach students how to use AI with clarity and intention, they will be shaped by it rather than shaping it themselves. So it should be obvious, but it's not, that any AI educational tools should be built on terms set by public interest, not investor demand. We need to confront what AI is designed to do and reimagine how it might serve students instead of just shareholder value. There is an easy first step for this. Require any AI company operating in public education to be a B corporation, a legal structure that requires businesses to consider social good alongside shareholder return. This would create enforceable obligations. Companies could no longer maximize profit by optimizing data extraction and designing tools based on that data to hold attention at the expense of student well-being. Students need more than just access to technology. They need understanding. They should be taught not just how to use AI, but how it works for and against them, what data it collects, what assumptions it makes, what biases it replicates. They won't just get digital literacy and job training. They'll get an education. Imagine English teachers working with students to break down the sentence structure of a chatbot's response, or analyzing the different ways it tries to make effective arguments based on audience, or science and math teachers showing how training data shapes AI predictions, or history students investigating which stories get summarized and which get omitted and why. These aren't just technical exercises. They're lessons in power. And if we want students to truly benefit from AI, we should help them recognize what they're giving up when they use it and how to take some of that power back. Fine. Okay. Enough useless, vibrating airflow, Mr. Instrumental. What should we actually do? Good question. I think a start would be to hold companies accountable, mandate B Corp status, or an equivalent public interest structure for any tech vendor in schools. Teach AI as a subject, not a shortcut. Build curricula that help students understand the design, impact, and limitations of the tools they use. Protect focus. For those few hours kids are in classrooms, limit AI use where it competes with instructor attention. Don't let the promise of customized learning be an excuse to foster even more device dependency. Solved? Sadly, no. But as AI becomes more fully integrated into education, both in America and in many places around the world, we should prepare students to use AI with intention, or we'll just be preparing them to be used by it.